Continuing on now to topic 3 of chapter 3, we'll look at one of the other formulas that we've been dealing with, and we're calling this as a reference number formula 4, which is the point slope form, and we see it. Now it gets its name because you have one ordered pair and the slope. Now you might say, how would I possibly memorize this? Well, two y's on the left, two x's on the right with an m in front, and these in parentheses. And the y's, there's a subtraction sign between the two and the x's. Okay. Now, one of the things they're asking us to start off with is find the equation in slope-intercept form of a line given the slope that passes through the point with the given coordinates. So here you have the coordinates 4, 2, and the slope is 0. Well, here you have to reach into your toolkit and say, what is the formula for all equations that have a slope of 0? And if you said y equals b, that is correct. And we also mentioned, what's another way of representing this ordered pair? Now, one common way, of course, is xy. But we also said we could represent that as a, b. So if our formula for a horizontal line, where the slope is always 0, is y equals b, what would our formula be here? All right. And if you said y equals 2, you are correct. All right, let's go on because we're going to do some graphing now. Now, as I mentioned in our flipped classroom video, when you see an equation that's in point slope form, which is what is illustrated here, and you're asked to find the slope and that ordered pair, give a shot at it. What would you put here? And our slope is 2, and our ordered pair is a positive 4 and a negative 3. Aha. So what did we say? Well, we said when the equation is in point slope form, it's easy to pick out the slope. That would be our m value. But what about our ordered pair? Now, you might say, well, the ordered pair is a negative 4 and a 3. Now, you would be incorrect. And we had said that if you put into this formula this ordered pair, this would become a, over here, if x is a negative 4, this would become a positive 4. And our 3 would become a negative 3. So these can't be the right ordered pair. And the confusion comes because of the negative signs in the formula. And we had said the shortcut is, and you can put a star by this, whenever you see it in this form, the shortcut way is it's the opposite signs that are there. That's why this is correct. And I've seen so many students get this incorrect because they miss this particular point. Now, what do they want us to do? Well, they want us now to graph this, and I'll move it up a little bit. So we'll pause and see, using the information that we have here, whether you can get the correct plot of this information. Okay, so you want to go to this point, 4, comma, -3. So over 4, down 3, and you put a point there. Now, what is our slope? Well, our slope is a 2 over 1. Remember, these are y units over x units. It's positive. So we're going to go over 1, and then now up 2, and there's our second point. And we can go over 1, up 2 to get a few more points, so we can get a nice straight line. Now, when you folks do it, you only take 2 points. And there is our graph. Okay, check it out. And do you see the rationale for it? Now, as we go on to our next example, what I'd like you to do is to find the slopes. You're going to put an M, ordered pair, from the point slope form and then graph it, and we'll see what you get. So, something like this. Our ordered pair is going to be a -4, opposite sign, and a -4 for the y. And our slope is a -4 over 1. So the first thing we do is plot this point. We go over 4 to the left, down 4. There's our original dot. Then our slope, since it's negative, will be 1 over and then 4 up. Now notice we have our x-intercept here, a comma b, 0. And what would it be? Well, it would be a -5, comma 0. And again, if we wanted another point from our x-intercept, over 1, up 4, and make our line. Now, we don't have the y-intercept. It's kind of off the chart here. Going on now to example 3, as we reflect on our formula sheet, hint number 7, hint number 8, whether the lines were parallel or perpendicular. We said if the slopes were equal of 2 equations, but the y-intercepts were not equal, then the lines were parallel. We also said that for number 8, if you took the slopes and multiplied them, and the product of that multiplication was a -1, such as -1/2 times 2 over 1, that is the opposite sign reciprocal, this would be a -1, the lines were perpendicular. So here we're asked, are these equations parallel, perpendicular, or neither? And you might say, well, how would you do it? Well, basically you would compare the slopes. So again, I would write it over here. The slope of 1 is 1/3, and the slope of the other is 3. They're both in slope-intercept form. So what's your observation? Well, as you multiply them together, you'll note that the product of this is a positive one, not a -1. So this would be neither, because the slopes are not the same, and one's not the negative reciprocal of the other. And pick your choice here. And let's just look at the choices. The slopes are equal. No. The slopes are the negative of each other. No. The slopes are the reciprocal of each other. And it would be this one. Now, the reciprocal of each other does not make it perpendicular. This would have made it perpendicular. The slopes are the negative reciprocal of each other. Okay, now be sure you're asking questions. This is the unsaid statement throughout this if you're not sure of something. Now, for example 4, let's just throw this out to you and see what you can come up with. And then we'll ask someone for an explanation. All right, we'll pause here and have someone give the explanation. So in summary, hopefully, we have something like this, where this ordered pair can be given in the form A comma B, and we know that this equation is a vertical line going through the x-intercept at 3. And this line is a horizontal line that would be perpendicular to the vertical line. So its equation would be y equals b. And we see that our y value here, our b value, is a 3. So they're giving us this point, and we are now drawing a line perpendicular to the other line, which is a horizontal line. All right, something like that. Again, you're asking questions if you need to. All right, for example 5, here is the equation. Now, what we want you to do is to write the equation of this line in point-slope form. And to give everyone a hint, you'll want to find your M. You'll want to find one point. And then put it in this form. Let's see what you get. Now, everyone might not have the same answer, but if it meets the criteria, then we're okay. All right, let's pause. Now, we know the y-intercept is going to be 4, and we know the slope. Again, if we figure it out, again, there's our point there, and then there's another point. So you're going to go over 1, 2, 3, up 1. So your slope is a negative 1/3. Now, what point might you choose? Well, this one here is a good one, but again, you might have chosen others. So this would be a negative 3, going over 3, and then up 1 brings us to a 5. And then putting this into the equation, we get y minus, is in the formula, 5. Now notice, here it's a positive 5, but as we write it, it becomes a negative 5. Our slope is a negative 1/3 x, and then our 3, where it's a negative 3, in the formula, because of the negative, it becomes a positive 3. Now, I also could have gotten this one. Let's show you how this one would have worked. Is if our slope is still a negative 1/3, but then instead of using this point here, which was a negative 3, 5, suppose we chose the y-intercept, which would be 0, 4. Well, the slope part would have been the same. Here we would choose the y as a 4, but in the formula, again, because of the negative, would be a negative 4. But our x value would be a 0. So as we write this, with the ordered pair 0, 4, this would then become y minus 4 equals a negative 1/3 x, because this here would have been a 0. We don't show it. So again, this is in point-slope form. Now, if you put it in slope-intercept form, again, that's not what they're asking. They're asking for it in point-slope form. So be careful. Here, this would easily convert to slope-intercept. Let's just do so. Y equals a negative 1/3 x. Just transpose that negative 4 over as a positive 4. So now, plotting it, it would be a y-intercept of 4, and then a slope of a negative 1/3. So you would go over 3, up 1. Now remember, you could also go down 1 and over 3, whatever technique you're using. Okay, this was one lesson. We spent a lot of time on it, and we'll see where we are. All right.